Commander Yan doesn't understand what Zhu is talking about and continues to insist that he cheated and now wants to frame him. Captain Yan's father, who is also the director, tells his son to be quiet and compliments Zhu on his hunting skills. Zhu's father intervenes in the conversation, reminding them that it's just a competition and not worth arguing over. The city's head tells Director Yan that Zhu simply got lucky and cannot compare to Captain Yan. The scene changes, and we see a man who ordered Zhu's assassination demanding an explanation from his assistant as to why Zhu is still alive and what happened to his hired killer. The one who ordered the assassination was Director Yan, who tried to eliminate his son's rival. Zhu, his father, and their team celebrate their victory in the competition. Zhu's father congratulates him and remarks that he has truly grown. Zhu contemplates how to tell his father about the assassination attempt during the hunt, as any rash statement could bring a lot of trouble. That evening, Zhu examines a strange object he took from the hired killer, trying to figure out what the device is. At that moment, a housemaid enters Zhu's room with a bag of crystals he received for his bet in the competition. Flustered by her beauty, Zhu quickly takes the bag and tells her he can manage by himself and doesn't need her help. The girl insists she's obligated to help him as a housemaid, but the noble Zhu replies that she's an ordinary girl to him and shouldn't limit herself by her housemaid status. At that moment, Zhu's father appears and asks what he is up to. As the city's head, his father tells him that Zhu has won the competition, and many people have stopped doubting him, so it's time to learn about the city's administrative affairs. Zhu replies that he doesn't intend to become the city's head and asks his father for help in upgrading his equipment in exchange for the crystals he received. An enraged Captain Yan is in his father's office, asking if Zhu really cheated. A long-haired guy notes that judging by the wounds on the Shadow Wolf King, someone else killed it. Director Yan asks his son to forget about the incident. Captain Yan can't just forget it because his reputation was severely damaged by Zhu. Frustrated, Captain Yan leaves his father's office, thinking about how he'll get his revenge on Zhu. The next day, Zhu goes to the city wall again to continue leveling up. He finally reaches level 20, and now that he has new equipment, his leveling will go much faster. Zhu opens the skill tree and notices that he unlocked a new level 20 skill. At that moment, he hears a loud roar behind him. It's a huge zombie that's several times larger than other monsters. Noticing it, Zhu decides to challenge himself. At that moment, somewhere on a rooftop, a soldier activates an ultrasonic wave using the same device Zhu found on the hired killer. The huge zombie reacts to these waves and starts screaming, and the soldier reports over the radio that the final stage of the regeneration mission has begun. Standing on the rooftop, Zhu activates his vulnerability scan ability and shoots an arrow directly at the running zombie giant's head. The shot doesn't damage the giant because it is an elite-class creature. Noticing Zhu, the zombie giant becomes enraged and charges towards him. Zhu uses his leap attack and backstab skills to deal critical damage to the zombie giant, injuring its neck. The scene changes, and we see the soldier on the rooftop again, noticing strange interference in the radio and hearing noise coming from a couple of blocks away. At that moment, Zhu finishes off the zombie giant and receives a reward for its killing in the form of a blue crystal, which is very valuable. Zhu heads to his base on a motorcycle and stops at a guard post where he is met by guards. Zhu is surprised to find them at this location since they had never appeared here before. The guard explains that the zombies around the city have become more active for unknown reasons. Zhu arrives at his father's office just as the city leader is holding a meeting. Zhu joins them, and one of the staff members reports that they have discovered a new zombie giant heading towards their settlement. According to their calculations, it will arrive the next day at noon, and it is likely not to come alone. The city leader and the other executives decide to venture outside the city and confront the approaching zombies. Zhu's father decides to transfer all his power to his son until he returns to the city, which shocks everyone at the meeting, including Zhu. That evening, Zhu's father says it's an excellent opportunity for Zhu to gain experience in managing the city. Zhu is deeply concerned for his father, but he reminds him that he is a 5th-rank warrior and one of the strongest fighters. Zhu's father looks at a family photograph and, with tears in his eyes, marvels at how fast their child has grown. After a few days, Zhu and Uncle Zhu are waiting for the patrol that should return any moment when a messenger runs up to them, saying that the squad and the city leader are downstairs. Descending from the wall, Zhu is horrified. He sees that something terrible has happened to his father. Lancy and Zhu set out to patrol the area, pondering how bad things could be for the city leader. During the ride, Zhu notices that there are no signs of battle anywhere and finds it strange. Suddenly, the car swerves sharply, and the driver's health bar turns red, indicating that they are trapped. The driver stops next to a group of armed people who head straight for Zhu and Lancy. Captain Yan appears, intending to take revenge on Zhu. Lancy stands up to defend Zhu and asks Captain Yan how he dared to betray the city leader. Captain Yan immediately kicks Lancy, shouting for him to shut up. Zhu calmly asks if the captain is involved in the zombie horde's attack on the city. Captain Yan replies that luring his father out of the city was not an easy task, but they managed it. Since he had been the city leader for too long, it was time to remove him and replace him with someone more suitable. Lancy tells Zhu to leave while he holds off the bandits. One of the bandits, hearing Lancy's words, says that no one will go anywhere and everyone must stay put. Zhu agrees with the bandit and says that everyone should stay in their place. The next moment, Zhu quickly appears behind the bandit and eliminates him. Using his skills, Zhu eliminates the entire squad within a few seconds, and Captain Yan is horrified by what he sees. The bandits are outraged, questioning how a newbie can be so strong. They did not expect such resistance. In desperation, Captain Yan grabs a machine gun and starts shooting, but Zhu quickly dodges the bullets and kicks Captain Yan in the face, knocking him to the ground. In a losing position, Captain Yan says that if he dies, Zhu's father might also be harmed, as the entire city is under the control of Director Yan. Zhu receives information about where his father has been taken and is about to set out to search for him when Yan tries to attack him from behind again. However, the difference in strength between them is so great that Zhu easily anticipates the attack and knocks Yan out with a single blow. After that, Lancy and Zhu set out to search for the city leader. Zombie hordes walk through the city streets, and we see the city leader watching them through binoculars, finding their movements strange. A moment later, a bald man from the city leader's team suddenly attacks him. The city leader manages to dodge the traitor's attack. At that moment, a group of people who once worked for the city leader but have now decided to end him emerges from the forest. Behind them stands Director Yan, who immediately attacks the city leader by throwing discs at him. The city leader is surrounded, fighting alone against a large group of high-level fighters. Eventually, he gets injured in the shoulder. The city leader wonders why they all betrayed him, as he trusted each of them. Director Yan replies that trust is worthless in this world, and those without power are doomed to be losers. The city leader is not willing to give up and, gathering all his strength, attacks Director Yan. The director realizes he is weaker than the city leader and calls for help from the other traitors. The scene shifts to Zhu and Lancy, who are rushing to help the city leader. They stop at a checkpoint where two guards have red bars appearing above their heads, and Zhu realizes they are also traitors. Zhu quickly deals with them and continues on his way. At that moment, the city leader is trapped. The traitors launch a new attack to finish him off, but the city leader manages to strike back, and they all retreat. A bald man charges to deliver a crushing blow with his sword, and the city leader resigns himself to his death. In the next instant, an arrow deflects the sword's trajectory, saving the city leader from death. The archer turns out to be Zhu himself, who has come to save his father. The bald man can't believe that Zhu, who was recently a weakling and a loser, could block his attack. Father and son join forces to punish the traitors. Zhu gives his father a health potion to replenish his strength. Zhu tells Director Yan that he has already taught his son a lesson, and now it's his turn. Zhu attacks and uses his double strike skill, quickly depleting Director Yan's health bar. He yanks and tries to help the director by attacking Zhu from the side, but he can't hit him. Zhu's speed and reaction far exceed their strength, and when he yanks and looks up, he sees Zhu flying towards him, brandishing his sword. The scene shifts to the city, where local residents are forced to take shelter as rumors of a massive wave of zombies approaching spread. At that moment, housemaid Junwen recalls the city leader's words that if something happens to him or the city cannot withstand the zombie attack, she must take care of Zhu. Meanwhile, the bald man gets distracted, and the city leader takes advantage of the moment to deliver a fatal blow with his sword. Zhu and his father deal with two traitors, leaving Director Yan trembling with fear, watching everything from the side. Director Yan, realizing his end is near, pulls a detonator from his pocket and threatens to blow up all the city's granaries. He asks Zhu where his son is and what happened to him. At that moment, a white-haired man in military uniform arrives and tells the director that his son is dead. Director Yan tries to press the detonator, but Zhu knocks it out of his hand with a precise shot. In the next moment, Zhu approaches the director when suddenly he is attacked. Zhu dodges the sudden attack and is confronted by the white-haired man in uniform, whose name is Lu Yunshan, a 6th-rank warrior. Since Director Yan has lost everything, Lu wants to strike a deal with him, taking all his property in exchange for protection, as he is the only one who can save him now. Lancy returns, reporting that he has dealt with the remaining accomplices. The city leader wants to detain the warrior and sacrifice himself for his son, but Zhu doubts his father can hold on much longer since he has sustained many injuries. Lancy tries to escape, but Lu quickly catches up and swings his sword. At that moment, Zhu blocks Lu's strike, explaining that even a 6th-rank warrior does not scare him. Lu scoffs at Zhu's overconfidence. At that moment, the city leader attacks Lu from behind, but the warrior manages to dodge the blow. Lancy brings a car and yells that they need to leave immediately. Zhu grabs his father, and they jump into the car together. Lu was ready to chase them, but Zhu uses 2 grenades to stop the pursuit. At that moment, Director Yan tries to activate the detonator again. Lu attempts to stop him with his sword but misses. Director Yan manages to press the detonator button, and an explosion occurs in the city. The granaries are destroyed, and the residents risk starving to death. At the same time, the city is besieged by hordes of zombies. After some time, Uncle Sui and the warriors bravely fight against the zombies, trying to protect the people, ready to sacrifice themselves for others. At one point, a zombie attacks Uncle Sui from behind, and it seems the zombie is about to bite him when Ju fires a precise arrow through the zombie's head, saving his uncle. At that moment, one of the warriors reports that all residents have taken shelter, and they can close the city. The city leader tells about the traitors they had dealt with earlier. Now the task is to protect the city at all costs. Ju suggests retreating for a while to help with the evacuation of people. The city leader notes that Ju has a managerial mindset and could excellently take the city leader's place in the future. The housekeeper brings glasses of water, and Ju drinks one. After 10 seconds, his head starts spinning, and he doesn't understand what is happening, eventually losing consciousness. Ju wakes up on a helicopter with Lancy and the housekeeper. With tears in his eyes, Lancy says the city leader insisted on staying behind to protect the city. Ju realizes that he is probably seeing his father for the last time. Uncle Sui and the city leader command all the fighters to prepare to defend the city at the cost of their lives. The city leader recalls how people used to doubt his son, but he always believed in Ju and still believes that in this apocalypse, he will become the brightest star. At that moment, the helicopter with our heroes flies out of the city. Ju blames himself for what happened. If he could have known about Director Yan's intentions earlier, all of this could have been avoided. Housekeeper Sue and Lancy try to support Ju, saying that it is not his fault and that he has done everything he could and must move on. During the conversation, giant birds attack the helicopter, and Ju does an excellent job of driving them away. When Ju returns to the helicopter cabin, a giant monster appears in front of them, but this time they are lucky. The monster is not interested in them and simply flies away. After some time, Lancy notices stone buildings in the distance, and it seems they have found a new city. Lancy studies a map he bought a few years ago from a wandering warrior and notes that the city they saw is called Titan. Our heroes are forced to land as the helicopter is damaged and cannot maintain the necessary altitude. They head to Titan, which is about 20 kilometers away. As they reach the road, they notice a car heading straight for them. All three take a fighting stance, preparing for the impact. The car stops in front of them, and one of the bandits ogles housekeeper Sue. At that moment, Ju fires a single shot, releasing 3 arrows, killing 3 snakes behind the car. The man in the hat immediately notices Ju's combat skills and understands that it's better not to mess with him right now. Ju advises them to be cautious in such wild places, and the bandits leave. Our heroes arrive at the outskirts of the city, where a local merchant offers to sell them a horse-drawn cart to reach the city of Titan. The merchant hoped to charge them more for his services since they were not locals and didn't know the local prices, but suddenly other merchants surrounded our heroes from all sides and began offering their services at lower prices. Eventually, a white-haired merchant offered to take them for just 1 piece of white crystal. Along the way, Ju asks the merchant where he got such a horse and whether he caught it himself. The merchant said that he bought it from animal trainers who were also warriors, but they were different in that they could tame some animals, mainly using them for battles or sales. The merchant asks where our heroes came from since they look different from the locals and immediately apologizes for the indiscreet question. At this moment, Ju wonders what they will be doing in Titan. Our heroes arrive at Titan and realize that the city is not much different from the nearby village. Taking the map in their hands, they find themselves in the 5th district of the city, an outer zone, something like slums. After some time, they find a hotel where they want to stay. A girl, a hotel employee, greets them at the entrance. The cost of living for 1 night is 2 low-grade crystals, which is quite expensive, and Lancy is surprised by this. After they check into their room, Ju thinks about his father who stayed behind to protect the city they used to live in. At that moment, Sue enters his room to tell him some information. She informs Ju that they have enough money to stay for only 1 week. The next day, Ju and Lancy walk around the city and notice that the local warriors have quite high ranks. Lancy is puzzled because, with his rank in this city, people cannot be warriors. At that moment, a beautiful girl approaches them and compliments them, offering to buy useful information from her. The girl whispers in Ju's ear that she has an exclusive map with the location of monsters outside Titan and will give it to them for 1 white crystal. Ju agrees since they don't know the city at all. Ju and Lancy arrive at the administrative building. After waiting their turn, they approach the girl at the Warrior Union registration desk to take on tasks to increase their rank. Ju puts his palm on the control panel, and the system identifies him as a warrior intern. After Lancy places his palm, the system identifies him as a 2nd-rank warrior. Ju suggests that Lancy split up since they have different ranks. After some time, Ju takes a bus with other warriors to a hunting ground and mission site. Arriving at the Sun Market, Ju is surprised as he didn't expect so many people to be far from the city. Ju approaches a local resident who offers to rent him a motorcycle, and Ju agrees, needing to get to a marked location on the map where even 5th-rank warriors dare not go. A couple of hours later, Ju arrives at the new location and kills a wolf, earning 16 experience points, which is quite a lot. Zhu notices that his arrows are running out, and it's a perfect opportunity for him to practice hand-to-hand combat. He eliminates all the wolves within sight and prepares to head back. During the hunt, Zhu obtains 2 blue crystals, considered a great catch, but he is still tormented by the desire to become stronger and hone his skills. On the way home, Zhu returns the motorcycle, and the surprised man watches him go, asking if Zhu is even afraid of death. When Zhu returns to the hotel, Lancy and Sue are shocked by his battered appearance. Zhu shows that he acquired 2 blue crystals, and now there's no need to stay at the hotel, as it should be enough to buy an apartment. In the next moment, we see Zhu again on the battlefield with wolves, and in a week, he managed to collect almost 20 blue crystals, but the animals are becoming scarce, and he needs to think of another way to obtain resources. Zhu notices rare mushrooms and immediately recalls the girl who sold him the map, telling him to be sure to collect any rare plants he finds, as most of these plants are mutants that have absorbed star power and are a rarity. When Zhu returns home, local warriors start calling him crazy because he risks his life fighting against wolves. After a while, Zhu goes to the market and buys spirits from local merchants. Going around the corner, he puts up wolf pelts for sale, and a 6th-rank warrior, Chang Zhang, approaches and buys everything at once, leaving his business card. Chang Zhang owns an equipment store and invites Zhu to visit if he needs anything. At that moment, a man sitting next to Zhu is shocked at how quickly he sold everything. He complains to his boss that if they had such wolf pelts, their business would be much better. Zhu intervenes in their conversation and talks about the importance of armor. Zhu can identify armor defects, but the merchant doesn't believe him since he's just a newbie. Zhu offers to sell his information for 1 blue crystal to help them complete their 4th-rank mission. In the end, they agree and shake hands, and the man in the coat introduces himself as Sue Wen, the commander of the battle hammer. Zhu congratulates them in advance on the successful completion of their mission and leaves, while Sue Wen watches him go and tells his colleague that Zhu is not that simple and should be watched. Zhu, Lancy, and Sue sit in a restaurant, and Sue shows houses she has chosen for their cohabitation. Zhu picks a house in a wealthy neighborhood and suggests experiencing this lavish lifestyle. They go to the house seller and successfully close the deal. The seller accidentally refers to Sue as Zhu's wife, making Sue quite flustered. Zhu takes out the spirits he bought at the market and gives them to Sue, and it seems that feelings are starting to develop between Sue and Zhu. The next day, Zhu goes to the market where the same bandits who confronted our heroes on the road notice him. The red-haired bandit can't forget Sue and tells his boss it was love at first sight. He was about to approach Zhu, but the boss stops him since they had unfinished business. Zhu notices them too and is prepared for an attack. After a while, Zhu rides his motorcycle to the marshlands. A group of people stop him, and their leader says that this place belongs to the Milky Way gang, and he, as a trainee warrior, should stay away from this area. Zhu challenges them to prove their words with action. In the next scene, we see the leader of the Milky Way gang, Mr. Sun, who came to this location for multicolored mushrooms. Even 4th-rank warriors feel insignificant in front of Mr. Sun. At that moment, he receives a report through his communicator that someone has broken in and killed 3 5th-rank warriors. Mr. Sun becomes furious and sends half of his people to find the culprit. We see Zhu again, who has advanced further. Zhu notes that without the new skills he had learned, it would have been difficult for him to kill 3 5th-rank warriors. One of the gang members finds Zhu's tracks when suddenly something passes by him at lightning speed. A few minutes later, the other gang members find their comrade lying dead. The whole gang is searching for Zhu among the grass, while Zhu hides behind a rock. It seems he has figured out who the gang leader is and decides to finish him off quickly. The gang leader is a 7th-rank warrior, and Zhu's speed won't help against such a fighter. He decides to retreat and leaves the bandits at full speed, unnoticed, as if the wind just blew by them. Zhu goes to a forest to rest and drink some water, and when he picks up a bone from the ground, he discovers a huge spider web with the skeletons of its victims trapped inside. In the next moment, a huge spider appears before him. The spider attacks him, and Zhu realizes that this time he really has to struggle to defeat the monster. Its speed and armor are top-notch. As the spider pins Zhu to the ground and is about to eat him, Zhu manages to inflict damage with his dagger, causing the spider to retreat. At that moment, the star power awakens, and Zhu finally achieves his 1st rank. After a while, Zhu walks onto the road and is almost hit by a passing car. Zhu politely asks the driver for a ride, but the man wants to refuse until the driver's boss intervenes and invites Zhu into the car. Zhu climbs into the trunk and chats with the guy sitting there, asking the name of their squad. The guy replies that they are the Pattern Squad. Zhu asks where in the city he can practice using the star power, and the guy gives him a tip. Zhu reaches the outer part of the city and meets Lancy, who has already achieved the 3rd rank. Lancy hugs Zhu and thanks him, as he has risen in rank thanks to the crystals Zhu gave him. Lancy and Sue notice that Zhu has reached the 1st rank and celebrate with him, and they spend the evening marking this new stage in their lives. The next day, Zhu and Lancy follow the guy's tip to improve their skills and train with the star power. Thanks to Zhu selling the spider's web he had recently fought against, he can afford to pay for training at this center. A friendly girl greets them and asks what level of training they need. Zhu chooses the 3rd level for starters and pays 1 blue crystal. He sends Lancy to the 3rd level and asks for access to the 5th level for himself. The girl is shocked by this request and tries to dissuade Zhu from this idea, as these rooms are for real monster fights, not virtual training. Zhu tells her he is ready for this and chooses a 5th rank mutant gorilla as his opponent. At this point, 3 guys laugh at Zhu and say it's an unusual way to commit suicide. Zhu tells them to back off and invites them to join him, but they immediately shut up. A few moments later, the door opens and Zhu enters the training room. In this room, the gorilla lies on the floor, sedated. The size of the gorilla is so enormous that Zhu seems like a tiny bug in comparison. The sedative gas stops, and the gorilla gradually regains consciousness. Zhu plans to advance to the 2nd rank after defeating the gorilla. The mutant gorilla stands up and starts furiously beating its chest. A group of people, including those who had laughed at Zhu, has already gathered outside the room. They are sure Zhu won't make it and plan to loot him if he fails. The sounds of heavy blows echo from the room, and everyone wonders what is happening inside. 30 minutes pass, and the group is shocked to find that Zhu has survived. They can't understand how a 1st-rank warrior could last so long against a 5th-rank mutant gorilla. In the next scene, we see a battered Zhu who has dealt significant damage to the gorilla. The gorilla attacks Zhu again, but he dodges and deals a critical blow. The star power envelops him once more, and his rank rises to the 2nd. Zhu delivers the final blow to the gorilla, defeating it, and earns 72 experience points for his victory. As one of the people eavesdrops on the room, they all assume Zhu has died when the sounds cease. Suddenly, the door opens, and Zhu walks out. Everyone is bewildered. He entered the room with the 1st rank but emerged with the 2nd. The people who had ridiculed him watch him with open mouths. Word about Zhu spreads quickly, and many people are already discussing him as the guy who defeated an elite monster. Zhu approaches the room administrator again and requests access to the 6th level room, frightening her once more. People begin placing bets on whether he will survive this time. In the next scene, we see Zhang Chen, the director of the training center, reviewing Zhu's file and asking his employee if he is indeed a 2nd-rank warrior. Zhang Chen orders the broadcast of Zhu's battle on the main screen, intending to make money from the footage. At this moment, the television screen turns on and the image appears. Next, we see Zhu standing in a poisonous fog, which immediately begins to deplete his health bar. He drinks an antidote and prepares for a new battle. When the fog clears, his opponent, a huge snake with red eyes, appears. At this moment, people continue to watch their confrontation and note that Zhu's speed is incredible. Ordinary people can't move that fast. After a few minutes of fighting, Zhu acknowledges that the 6th level is more challenging than he thought. However, he once again raises his rank to the 3rd after defeating the snake. Zhu notices someone has activated the broadcast in his room, which is against the rules without the participants' consent. Zhu leaves the room, and the center employee invites him to meet with the director. Director Zhang Chen meets Zhu and asks him to calm down, offering compensation as an apology. His secretary brings out a box of precious crystals. The director also offers Zhu a 20% discount on all services at the training center. Zhu is satisfied with these conditions but asks them not to disclose any unnecessary information about him. Before leaving, the director asks Zhu how he managed to defeat the 6th level snake and invites him to join their alliance. Zhu responds that it's none of his business and he has no need to join anyone. Leaving the building, Zhu notices that his dagger is completely worn out and no longer suitable for use. He recalls the guy who bought wolf skins from him and decides to visit him for a new dagger. Arriving at the store, Zhu is surprised by its size and realizes that he sold the skins too cheaply. A few hours later, Zhu and Chang Zhang are sitting together over a cup of coffee, and Chang notices that Zhu has become a 3rd-rank warrior in just a few days, which amazes him. Zhu says that he simply worked harder than others, and now he has come to buy some new equipment. Zhu takes out the web of the glowing spider he recently defeated, and Chang is thrilled because it is a very rare and top-quality material for crafting equipment. He offers 15 green crystals per meter of the web, and Zhu agrees. Delighted, Chang tells him that he will make a new weapon for him free of charge. Zhu goes to the forge where the weapons are made. With the spider web Zhu brought, Chang can create a truly excellent weapon with the best characteristics and high star power conductivity. Chang begins the crafting process. After a few hours, he presents Zhu with his new dagger, which is far superior to his previous weapon. Zhu notices that the blade is very light. Chang is amazed that he managed to forge such a powerful weapon, and in his opinion, it should have cost 1 purple crystal, but he gave it away for free. Zhu thanks his new friend, and they part ways. As Zhu walks down the streets, he passes the guys who laughed at him in the training center. Their master, Luo, remarks that fighting wasn't allowed in the training center, but outside they could do more than just talk. One of them clearly has no intention of fighting Zhu, who defeated a mutant gorilla, and believes they are no match for him. Luo doesn't care and orders his warriors to deal with Zhu. As Zhu is buying flowers, 3 men approach him from behind and start talking to him. Zhu doesn't even remember them and asks who they are, insulting Luo. Luo orders them to attack Zhu, who quickly knocks them down with 2 strikes. As Zhu decides to leave, he notices a construction pipe falling from the roof of a house, heading straight for the girl from whom he bought the flowers. Thanks to his speed, he saves her and also kicks Luo in the back. Luo threatens Zhu, saying he is an influential person, and his family is well known, so it's best not to mess with him. Zhu instantly appears next to him, knocking Luo down, saying that he hates being threatened more than anything else. Luo immediately starts apologizing. Afterward, Zhu leaves, and the onlookers are impressed by his courage, as Luo's family is very influential. In the next scene, we see Luo in the hospital with a severely broken leg. Even if he recovers, it's unlikely he'll be able to return to a normal life. Luo's father talks to the doctor about his son's condition, asking if it could affect his chances of ranking up. The doctor replies that it would, as Luo's energy channels are damaged. Luo complains to his father that it's all because of Zhu Zhenya and asks him to avenge him. Luo's father asks his assistant to gather all the information on Zhu and report back to him. Meanwhile, Zhu is walking around the city, pondering how to earn more money since times have been tough lately. He suddenly encounters the man he sold information to on how to complete their mission. The man thanks him, as his help allowed them to successfully complete the task. He introduces Zhu to his fighters as a master, and they bow to him. The man invites Zhu to join them on their next mission to Weiken District, and Zhu agrees, provided he's paid. After some time, their squad announces the recruitment of 5th-rank warriors in the central square. A 6th-rank warrior named Zhang Zun approaches them and offers his services, but asks for more money than they initially offered. Eventually, he agrees and hops into the vehicle with Zhu. Zhang Zun mocks Zhu's bow and asks who he plans to shoot with it. He then takes out his own bow, boasting about it being composed of 5% star power. Leaving the city, they stop at a market to stock up on supplies. The locals happily greet Zhu, saying that the madman has returned and ask why he hasn't visited them in so long. The residents gladly offer their goods to Zhu for free. Zhang Zun doesn't understand why these people are so eager to please Zhu, who is only a 3rd-rank warrior. Zhang Zun decides to show off his weapon again, hoping someone would notice, but the locals are uninterested. As they leave the market, everyone says goodbye to Zhu and wishes him luck. A few hours later, they reach the outskirts of Weiken and stop at a bridge. The squad leader says they must break through the trade street in 5 minutes, or the number of zombies may increase significantly. Zhang Zun makes a precise shot, hitting a zombie in the head, and Zhu praises him. For this kill, Zhang Zun will receive 2 blue crystals, which isn't too bad, but he doesn't like Zhu telling him about it. Zhu reminds him that everyone in the squad, except him, is responsible for distributing labor, so if Zhang Zun doesn't work, he won't earn anything, unlike the others. Zhang Zun decides to show off once again and demonstrates his impressive combat skills, which astonishes the squad members and the commander. All the zombies surrounding the trade street are mutants, and continuing to fight them by hand is too dangerous, but Zhang Zun volunteers to fight again. After another accurate shot, Zhu praises Zhang Zun's technique, which puts him in an awkward position. Zhu suggests the team take a break since he could also use some time to stretch. Both Zhang Zun and the squad leader try to dissuade him, claiming it would be suicide, but Zhu is undeterred. He's eager to fight, not wanting to miss out on so much experience. With a single shot, he takes out 3 zombies at once, while Zhang Zun complains to the squad leader about Zhu's disruptive influence on the team's discipline. Moments later, they all stand in awe, watching Zhu's battle. Having dealt with all the zombies, Zhu estimates he'll reach level 30 that day and finally unlock a new technique. Zhang Zun is shocked, as Zhu had taken care of all the zombies in just 3 minutes. Everyone is overjoyed to have such a warrior as Zhu on their team. The squad leader sends 2 of his fighters to get the car so they can leave the area. Zhu asks one of the fighters to hold his bow and challenges Zhang Zun to a hand-to-hand battle against the zombies, to which Zhang agrees. In the next instant, Zhu takes out 7 zombies with a single strike thanks to his new blade. Zhang Zun realizes he has already lost. A moment later, Zhang Zun extends his hand to Zhu, saying he's pleased to meet him and calls him master. They shake hands, and Zhu humbly replies that he is not a master. The 2 fighters return with the car to leave the area, but they are pursued by a gigantic mutant zombie. The squad leader orders everyone to retreat, but Zhu tells them to go ahead while he plans to stay behind, as the zombie giant is much faster than the car and someone needs to hold it off. The zombie giant grabs a nearby car and throws it at them. Zhang Zun admits he underestimated Zhu and agrees that they must leave as soon as possible. The squad leader tells Zhu they'll wait for him on the highway. Zhu activates his vulnerability scanning ability and realizes the zombie is well protected. He uses a jumping attack, and the scene changes. After 10 minutes, the squad waits for him on the highway, worrying about why he hasn't returned yet. Zhang Zun reassures them, saying Zhu has enough strength for them not to worry about him. One of the squad's warriors spots Zhu returning through binoculars and says he's fine, confirming his master's nickname. The squad leader thanks Zhu for his work and pledges to serve him exclusively in the entire city. Zhang Zun also acknowledges our hero's strength and no longer plans to compete with him. At that moment, a group of bandits approaches them, intending to steal their loot. Zhang Zun stands up and asks if they're really looking for a fight. When the bandits see Zhang Zun's rank, they decide to turn around and leave. Zhu notes that rank indeed holds significant importance in this world, and he needs to level up as quickly as possible. 3 days later, Zhu reaches level 30 and finally has the chance to improve his skills. Just then, a giant wolf appears nearby, presenting an excellent opportunity for him to increase his rank. The scene shifts to Luo, who is now confined to a wheelchair, arriving at Zhu's home. Meanwhile, Zhu continues to gather crystals in the forest. He notices 7th rank warrior Zhang Seazi, who is surrounded by wild monkeys. Zhang Seazi asks for help, arguing that it would also benefit Zhu. It only takes one shot for Zhu to deal with the monkeys. Seazi is surprised that a 3rd rank warrior could handle them so easily. Zhu introduces himself and picks up a blue crystal, reminding Seazi that he mentioned some kind of benefit. Seazi asks if Zhu is afraid to ask him such a question since he could kill him. Zhu replies that he won't be able to do it, and for some reason, Seazi believes him. Zhu seems quite dangerous. Seazi hands Zhu a monkey treasure that he had previously obtained with great difficulty. He remarks that Zhu is one of the top 10 people in Titan who can look him in the eye. He plans to create an alliance of warriors soon and invites Zhu to join them. Zhu agrees and heads home on his motorcycle, contemplating buying a store for Sue Wen so she won't be bored at home. At that time, Luo orders his subordinates to destroy everything in Zhu's house. They invade Zhu's property, where Sue meets them. Luo commands them to capture and interrogate her. An alarmed Lancy rushes out into the yard and pleads with them to stop the chaos. Luo orders them to kill him. As Zhu approaches his house, he sees Lancy lying on the ground. Lancy tries to say something but loses consciousness. The next scene takes place in a hospital, with a worried Zhu sitting outside the operating room. A doctor emerges and announces that he managed to save Lancy's life. However, Lancy suffered severe limb injuries and will take a long time to recover. Zhu remembers the people on the street in front of his house mentioning the Luo family's involvement and decides to take revenge. Meanwhile, Luo is about to interrogate Sue Wen. He ties her to a wooden post and pours a bucket of water over her to wake her up. He offers her safety in exchange for becoming his woman, but she spits in his face instead. Luo raises a knife to her, but at that moment, something cold is pressed against his throat. It's Zhu's blade. Sue Wen cries at the sight of Zhu. He unties her, picks her up, and they leave. He takes her to a safe place and tells her to wait for him while he goes back to deal with the rest. At that moment, Father Luo asked for a report on the situation, wanting to know if they had found out anything about Zhu, but he received a negative answer. A few moments later, a noise echoed through the room. They noticed that someone had broken into the room. It was Zhu himself, and Luo Gohai was delighted. He ordered his assistant, Aben, to kill Zhu. Aben attacked, but Zhu used a skillful backstab, impressing Luo with his speed. However, Luo was confident that Zhu's attacks couldn't harm Aben. Aben attacked Zhu from behind again, but Zhu dodged the blow and knocked out the bandit. At this point, Luo Gohai remarked that Zhu definitely had some talent, and he stood up from the table, activating his power. The entire palace guard heard the noise and rushed to help their boss. Upon reaching the room, the guards reported that something had happened to young Luo. Zhu replied that he had killed him for the pleasure of entertaining the elder Luo. As Zhu managed to distract Luo, he launched an attack, but he couldn't penetrate Luo's energy armor. Luo counterattacked, but Zhu's speed allowed him to dodge easily. Zhu's second attack also didn't inflict any damage, and Luo seemed indifferent to Zhu's strikes. The elder man kicked Zhu, sending him flying. However, Zhu said that Luo had lost the moment he had hit him the first time. Zhu's blade had been poisoned with the venom of a phantom spider, which could kill even an 8th rank warrior. Luo fell to the floor, powerless. Zhu returned to Sue, who had been waiting for him anxiously in a tree. Together, they ran through the forest, away from the Luo family's home. But after a few meters, Zhu collapsed and lost consciousness. Meanwhile, Luo's guards were sent to find Zhu and punish the offender. This time, Sue was determined to protect Zhu. She carried his body on her shoulders and fled. Sue managed to bring Zhu to a safe place, where he regained consciousness. She took medicine from his bag, which didn't completely heal his wound, but it significantly alleviated the pain. Zhu's eyes closed, and he fell asleep, exhausted. The next morning, Zhu found his wound had healed and thanked Sue for her help. They returned to Titan for breakfast and overheard local residents discussing the brutal murder of the Luo family. These events greatly frightened all the guards of Titan City, as nothing so serious had happened in many years. In the next scene, we see one of the guards examining Zhu's file, wondering how he could be involved if he's only a 3rd rank warrior. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Zhu and Sue visit their friend Lancy. Zhu is determined to find a way to heal and help his comrade. Just then, the same 2 guards enter the room. They approach Zhu, showing him portraits of father and son Luo, asking if he has seen them recently. Zhu suggests stepping out of the room for a conversation. After a few minutes, the guards leave, and Zhu bids them farewell, saying that he's ready to cooperate with them and that they can come to him at any time if needed. The younger guard asks his commander why they didn't arrest Zhu since all evidence points to him. The commander replies that nobody would believe a 3rd rank warrior killed an 8th rank one, especially since Luo Gohai is already dead, and the dead have no concern for such matters. In their report, they will write that Luo Gohai simply ate a poisonous plant by mistake and died. The next day, Zhu visits Chan's weapons shop again, bringing him the hides of a 6th rank venomous viper. Chan thanks Zhu, as these hides will be very useful in his production. Zhu asks if he knows of any good doctors in Titan, as his friend has broken arms and legs. Chan mentions that there's only one healing master he can think of. Together, they go to the healer's hospital, where a large crowd has already gathered, making it difficult to get to him. A man named Mr. Wen, a disciple of the great healer Fan, approaches them and asks why they have come. Zhu replies that they are seeking a healer because his friend has health problems. The assistant says that to call the healer to their home, they would have to pay a considerable amount and dismisses Zhu, arguing that as a 3rd rank warrior, he wouldn't be able to obtain the necessary herbs. The herbs required for healing grow in areas inhabited by 5th rank monsters and higher. At this moment, Chan says he knows a few other doctors and suggests looking for them. They both leave the building, but Zhu tells Chan that he wants to take a walk alone and thanks him for his help. After they go their separate ways, Zhu runs and jumps over the building's wall, landing in the backyard of the hospital. Standing right in front of him is a silver-haired elderly man, the 8th rank warrior Healer Fan. Healer Fan asks Zhu what he wants, and Zhu explains that his friend has crushed bones. Old Man Fan replies that he can help if Zhu finds the necessary herbs. He needs to locate 2 roots of bone grass. The scene changes, and Zhu searches the internet for information about bone grass. This herb, worth 1 purple crystal, is found in the Valley of Poisonous Mists. After some time, Zhu arrives at the valley. Stopping at the entrance to the forest, he drinks an antidote and ventures in. Zhu notices that this forest is a great place to gain experience points, but this time he's only here for the herb. He spots a hole in a rock, and his intuition tells him to check it out. A huge multi-headed viper appears before him, with the very bone grass he needs growing right beneath it. Zhu throws a rock to distract the viper and tries to pluck the herb, but he fails. The viper attacks, and Zhu realizes he must fight it to retrieve the herb. He dodges all the strikes and prepares to make his shot. 3 hours later, Zhu finally defeats the viper and is glad it's over. He reaches level 33 and receives 3 green crystals from each of the viper's heads. While Zhu collects the herbs to heal Lancy, a group of people outside engages in a battle with a 7th rank mutant Viper Queen. The Viper Queen has already swallowed several masked squad members, and they hope to take revenge. As Zhu heads home, he encounters the nearly defeated Viper Queen. With 1 strike, he finishes her off and takes all the rewards for himself. When the squad catches up to the Viper Queen, they become furious, as she was their prey. Zhu goes home and plans to visit Chan's workshop, as the Viper Queen's hide might come in handy. Zhu brings the required herbs to the healer, who happily accepts them, as they are worth a fortune. Zhu asks the healer to fulfill his promise. In the next scene, we see the healer in Lancy's room, examining his hands and saying that Lancy's opponent was very cruel. The healer says that Lancy is fortunate to have a friend like Zhu and that he should recover within a week, with everyone witnessing a true miracle. Zhu thanks Old Man Fan. Lancy feels like he caused Zhu a lot of trouble, but Zhu reminds him that he is part of his family. Suddenly, Zhu's phone, issued by the Warriors Union, rings. It's Zhang Zihosai, whom they met earlier in the forest. Zhang tells him they are going on the mission he mentioned, which will be very dangerous, and asks if Zhu will join them. The next day, Zhu is at Chan's shop, and his eyes catch some shurikens. He buys all of them and asks for a few regular daggers as well. The scene takes us to the Emperor's Star Hotel, where members of the Warriors Union are waiting for Zhu. Zhang Hu, an 8th rank warrior, mentions that a certain 3rd rank warrior is supposed to join them. The other members hope that this person won't be a weakling. Zhang Zihosai arrives and apologizes for the long wait. At that moment, Zhu enters, and the others will soon find out if he is a suitable addition to their squad. Zihosai asks everyone to welcome the new team member. Zhang Hu extends his hand to greet Zhu, but Zhu walks past him, and Hu takes it as an insult. Zihosai invites everyone into a room to discuss their plan of action. He announces that the reward for this mission is huge, but so is the risk, and it's too late to back out. The reward will be distributed with 10% to each team member, and the remaining 40% will be allocated according to each person's contribution. Hu finds this unfair, not understanding why the newcomer should also get 10%. Another squad member suggests 5% for each member, with the remaining 70% distributed according to each person's contribution, and everyone agrees. Zihosai finds it suspicious that Zhu agrees so easily, wondering if he plans to earn more than the 8th rank warriors. Before the mission, Zihosai gives each squad member a bonus. They can choose any equipment worth no more than an average green crystal from the Warriors Union store. However, to buy anything there, one needs to have at least a 7th rank. Since Zhu's rank is insufficient, Zihosai offers him his computer. Browsing the store, Zhu spots a new bow he likes, but it costs 2 purple crystals, which he can't afford right now. He hopes to save up for it eventually. After some time, a courier delivers all the packages that the squad members ordered from the warrior's store. Zhu unpacks his package containing new boots, and when he puts them on, he feels completely different. They get into their vehicles and head out on their journey. Along the way, Zhang Hu asks Xiaosai to stop so they can test the skills and strength of the newcomer. Hu and Zhu approach two fourth-rank wolves, and Hu asks Zhu to deal with them. The other squad members discuss whether the rookie can handle this, but Xiaosai knows exactly what Zhu is capable of. The next moment, one of the wolves starts barking, summoning an entire pack, which alarms Hu, who is about to step in to help. However, Xiaosai stops him. Xiaosai reminds Hu that he wanted to test the rookie's strength himself, and a pack of wolves would be more convincing than just two. At that moment, Zhu prepares his shot. As the pack of wolves leaps towards him, he releases the bowstring. With one shot, he eliminates the entire pack, impressing all squad members. Our heroes set out once again. After a while, they enter the red mutation zone, and Xiaosai asks everyone to be on guard. Stopping in a forest, they note that they have over 50 kilometers to their main target and that everyone must stay focused after crossing the zone. Zhu suddenly halts the squad, announcing that mutants are nearby, but some members don't believe him. Moments later, an 8th-level leopard appears from behind the bushes, ready to pounce on one of the squad members, who begins to fight the leopard, and the others rush to help. Thanks to their teamwork, they defeat the leopard, and Zhu acknowledges that the squad members are indeed strong and rightfully hold the 8th rank. They continue on their journey, and after some time, they reduce the distance to their target to 17 kilometers. On the way, Zhu gets a strange feeling as tree branches suddenly come alive and start grabbing the squad members. For several minutes, they all try to fight off the tree's attack. Zhu uses his vulnerability scanning skill and finds the tree's weak points. Zhu fires a volley of arrows at the tree, quickly depleting its health and ultimately defeating it, earning 5,000 experience points, a considerable amount. Zhu continues to clear the path for his team while the other members assist each other. Freed from the tree's grasp, Xiaosai becomes furious and shouts that he will burn everything around him, but then realizes there's no need since Zhu has already done all the work, reaching level 34. After some time, the squad members reach a swamp where Hu finds a weapon from a massive dragon with 20% star power. The other squad members notice that many people have perished in these swamps and left their equipment behind. All squad members decide to thank Zhu for his help in battle. After a couple of hours, the squad reaches their intended target, arriving at their destination. From somewhere in the distance, they hear a very loud noise. Xiaosai looks through his binoculars and, as expected, sees a huge dragon, rumored to be able to inflict massive damage with its wings. One of the squad members volunteers and plans to attack the dragon from behind. Meanwhile, Hu takes out a high-caliber sniper rifle. The volunteer attacks the dragon, but his strike does no damage due to the dragon's sturdy armor. The dragon then takes to the sky, and the entire squad goes on the offensive. The dragon breathes a column of fire at them, and no one has any ideas on how to defeat it. However, Zhu looks at the dragon in surprise and spots its weak point. After some time, the dragon continues attacking them with its fiery breath, and they can only defend themselves. Xiaosai can't believe it and considers that they might have to surrender to survive. Zhu stands at a distance, analyzing the situation. The dragon's fire breath drains a lot of its life force, and once the dragon stops, they need to strike precisely at the spot Zhu noticed. Xiaosai orders everyone to retreat as Zhu suddenly dashes towards the dragon and hits it in the abdomen. The dragon's attention shifts to Zhu, and just before the dragon activates its breath again, Zhu moves to its neck area and inflicts significant damage. After this attack, the dragon falls to the ground. Zhu outlines the next steps to his team, telling them to use their weapons to keep the dragon at a distance, and he will take care of the rest. Who notes that the guy is a genius. The squad's fighting spirit is lifted, and their chances of victory increase. Everyone is amazed at how Zhu managed to wound the divine dragon, wondering what makes him so special. Thanks to their teamwork, they managed to deplete more than half of the dragon's life. One of the squad members asks Xiaosai where he found Zhu and if he's even human. Half an hour later, the dragon's life bar runs out, and it falls lifeless to the ground. Meanwhile, Zhu's level has risen again, reaching 35.